Colony Podcast, episode 6, with myself, Ant Dolby.
Myself, Fantail.
And our guest today, Robbie Davies Jr. Welcome, Rob.
All right, lads, you're all right?
Yeah, welcome, Robbie. So as we do with everyone who comes on the show, we always go right back to the very start. So tell us about a young Robbie Davies. What was you like? Where did you grow up?
Grew up in Kirby, Liverpool. Went to All Saints High School. Just pretty much wanted to be a footballer like every other kid.
Yeah.
Sunday league, stuff like that. Grew up, fell into the boxing somehow, and it's just progressed to where I am now, really.
So what were you like in school then?
I wouldn't say I was a bad kid. I was just a bit more of a class clown. Do you know what I mean? Sit at the back of the class, throw a rubber at someone, stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? But I was never really bad. I wasn't someone that got expelled and things like that. Do you know what I mean? And I always remember my mum used to say, like, even times on his birthday, I'd say, you can stay off if you want, and he'd still go in.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? I used to love it. I was like the king of school. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I used to be in college thinking I hated it, doing bricklaying. I'd be thinking I peaked in high school. What happened?
So when you were in school then, I know you mentioned football then. Was there any other sports that you'd done then growing up?
No, in school, I was just one of them. I had to go with anything. I used to think I was going to be a leading tin Emin at one point. Do you know what I mean? I was having to go with the tennis and all things like that. I was just into sports in general.
Yeah.
And but boxing definitely wasn't one of them. And I was never like focused on it. But I just think everyone around Kirby ways at some point falls into a gym at some point and has a little go.
Yeah.
And then when I went into it, I was like, it's all right, this. And they made a bit of a fuss about me because they knew my name and stuff like that through my dad. I was like, oh, I like this, do you know what I mean? I wasn't so keen on getting it at first, like, but I got used to that, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So strip it back a little bit, being told that you were play for the Fantail on the Sunday league. You're a right winger.
Yeah, when I got a game. Yeah, I used to be one of them, then I'd show up with the white Nike boots or something like that. I'd be like that, pulling me socks up so I looked like Ronaldo when I played. Doing lunges. I'm ready, coach. I'm ready to get on and score. They'd just be like, yeah, 10 more minutes. But, yeah.
I actually remember them white boots running down the line.
Yeah, they were some good years. Then I used to love the Al footy. Don't get me wrong, sometimes in like was it the Anfield League? It was rough, weren't it? Like rough, yeah. Some of the other teams, they were only the same age as us, like 16, but they were like carried on like men. And they were just like, yeah, we're going to steamroll you. And we were like, what? We're just here to play football. It's like, yeah, we're going to break your legs. I was like, oh, God. You know what, Dobie? I'm probably best going sub for this game. I'm not up for this.
Yeah. So when did you know that you wanted to be a boxer then?
Do you know what? I still fluttered between the two of them, football and boxing, for years. And I think when I was about 16, 17, I won my first national title. And then from then I got it... just like a letter through off the AIBA saying you've been picked to represent your country. And literally just like that, like in my head, I was thinking like, I'm going to do this forever now. Like I stopped playing football really. I was a bit of a scal on the street wise, like smoking weed and all that. Literally, I used to always remember people saying like, you can't just stop. And once you're smoking, you can't just stop. I'd literally been a pot monk for a year or two, woke up the very next day and never done anything, never drunk, never smoked, never done anything ever again. Do you know what I mean? So I used to always think to myself, listen, if you want something, you can do it. Do you know what I mean? And that was a mentality from a very young age. Do you know what I mean? Used to think back now and think like, me half fella ever knew that back then. Yeah, I wouldn't have been allowed out the house. He'd slap me all over the place. Do you know what I mean?
I actually remember having a conversation with you at one point, and obviously you were playing for the Fantail, which I used to manage and stuff, and you come over and said, this is going to be my last season. Yeah. Like, I'm going to go into boxing. This is what I'm doing. Can't afford to get injured. And I remember saying, I talk to you sort of thing, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go and chase your goals sort of thing.
Do you know what? This is the gods. The last time I ever played football, right? This is like when I'm professional as well. I had a training camp out in Los Angeles ready, and the lads were all like we're going for a game of five-a-side. And I was like, yeah, I'll come, just a little bit of extra fitness, running around and all that. And someone kicked an indoor softball, and I turned my leg, and whatever way me shin like the gauge had opened. The ball hit me tibia, broke my leg. Off the ball hit my leg, and I was like, this just says I am never ever meant to play football again. I don't think I've ever kicked a ball since. Could not believe it. So then when I got over, I still went on the training camp. Have you ever seen that tape where like you wrap it around, it's like pink or blue, and it's like goes rock hard, like it grips.
Yeah.
I was like in gym every day with a cracked tibia, and I just painkillers up, and I was just like, I'm not missing the opportunity to spar all these lads. Do you know what I mean? There was all world champions in there. I was like, I'm still sparring. I still done it. But wreck me like my little trip, do you know what I mean? Through having a knockabout with my mates, do you know what I mean? I was like gutted.
So, do you remember your first experience actually going into a boxing gym? Do you remember any of that?
Do you know what I actually do? Like the first time I went into a gym was when it was in the old Kirby Sports Centre. And when we went up the stairs and things like that, it was just like first things first, subs, register, things like that. And I was going with like my mates and his older brothers, like Owen Cooney, Dwayne Cooney, Brian Crichton, a local lad by ours, doing a bit of cage fighting. And because I knew all them, I went in and stuff like that, put my name on the register. And one of the coaches was actually from over the water. And he said his name was like Dom Jones, and he had in relation to Robbie Davies from over the water, are you? And I was like, yeah, it's my dad, yeah. He said, and honest to God, I was like 14, 15 now. I hardly knew anything of me boxing, my dad boxing. Do you know what I mean? At this age, he never talked about it, never showed me videos, never done anything. He wasn't a bragger in any way. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I was like, it's my dad. And they were like, might be all right here. And my dad has already showed me over the years, just like from a kid, you know, like when you see baby videos and I'm punching his hands and all that. But he must have like shaped me up a bit, to be correct, because when I started on my very first day, they were like, oh, have you already done a bit? I was like, nah, just off messing with my dad, really. This is all I know. And then literally within, I think it was something like 12 weeks, something like that, the main coach who still looks after me now, Darren Ma, put me into the novice championships. And I was like, when I tell people now, like they go, after that, like, and it's under 10 fights. And my first fight was against the kid that had 9. I was like, I can't remember his name now. I've got the thing. He was from Kirkdale. Carl something. I can't think of his name. And I ended up winning. But at this point, like I was saying, I was just a little scowl on the street. I didn't say, I was absolutely goosed. But just like, there's loads of little things I can look back on and think like, from when I first went in. I always remember I used to have to go in the gym and there was a lad in there called Jay Boyle. He was about 3-4 years older than me. I'm not messing. He had mallets in his hand and he used to just knock lumps out of me for years. And I was just like, I don't think this is for me. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there's loads of things I look back on now and think like it's obviously shaped to where I've got to now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your amateur career then. What was that like?
And as an amateur, up until that point where I got a leaflet and a letter, for England, I was dedicated in the sense like I'd done all the training and things like that because I've always liked fitness, but I wasn't dedicated as in the fact that I didn't live the life. I was still doing nights with my mates, do you know what I mean? Just like daft kid stuff and in the park till all hours drinking and stuff like that. No, I wouldn't say I was bleeding alcoholic or anything. Just the way the kids used to. You'd have a bottle of WKD between 80s.
White lightning,
stuff like that, yeah. That was when we got a bit older. Went to the next level. Just stuff like that. And I just don't know when it was. I think it was when I got picked for England. I really started to like give it me all. I started thinking I can make something of it. And then I seen like the GB setup. And I wanted to be on GB more than absolutely anything in the world. Like, I used to be up there on squads. They kept giving me trials. I remember one time they gave me a trial. This is another point where I'm still not fully dedicated. And it was Jim Davidson who was running it at first. But my amateur coach was like he's still with GB now, but he was just getting his mark on it. And he went up to the one of the trial things and they said, Robbie made it through the last trial. Where is he? And he's in Magaluf.
Yeah.
And I just didn't show up. I went to Magaluf with my mates instead. Do you know what I mean? So that was the sort of thing. Like, so I wanted to be on it, but I weren't dedicating myself. I thought it just like happened. Do you know what I mean?
Enjoyed your time with your mates as well.
Like I know loads of fighters dedicated themselves from a young age. And like they'll probably look back now and they've missed the youth, John, completely.
Yeah.
And I've missed a lot of it, don't get me wrong, but I still got a little bit in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Through them times. But they were the sort of reasons why I think like I never ever got that extra bit to the GB. Like I made it to England but never got onto the Great Britain team. And then by the time I'd settled and was proper going for it, they had like Tom Stalker, who I think every competition he went to, he won a medal. So you had no chance of getting in over him. And then underneath him was another kid called Danny Phillips. And I knew I'd meet him in the ABAs one year. And it ended up with, I got him in Liverpool. So I was thinking, thank God I've got him in Liverpool, the semi-finals. And he had on his shorts, Dancer. I was thinking, Southport Dancer, he's going to run all over the place. The bell went, he flew over to me and went bang, 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 bang. Hit me with about 4 shots. And he got like 2 points ahead in the first round off like that first like 5-10 seconds. And them 2 points in the first couple of seconds was the difference to the whole fight. Like he just, I got 2, he got 2, he got 1, I got 1. And them 2 points was the difference all the way through the fight. And he went on and won the championship then, do you know what I mean? And I could just never get on because the kids who were already on the GB ahead of me were just like top talents, do you know what I mean? And they couldn't mess up. I was thinking like, in a selfish way, touch wood, I was thinking like, I hope they go to this competition and get beat just so I can get a look in, do you know what I mean? And they'd be like, gold medal, silver medal, bronze medal, every time. So I think I just got to an age, I got to the senior ABA final. And I think everyone at York Hall in the red that day won. Something was going on with the computer scoring and it was all just down to calculated scoring. So pretty much every away corner lost. And I lost on a majority. 2 neutrals went for me, 3 home London judges went for him. I was like, and I was fighting a London kid. And from that point, I just said, you know what, I'll never box as an amateur again over that. You know what I mean? Just like through disappointment. And then I knew then I was going to turn professional, but I knew I didn't have like the backing of like big signings with medals and things like that. So I knew I was going to have to go through the grind to get anywhere. And that was what I ended up deciding to do.
Great.
Brilliant. So I know you just touched a little bit on your dad there, and he passed away a couple of years ago, didn't he?
Yeah.
I know you're really close and stuff like that. And he was a boxer and went to the Olympics and stuff like that. Would you say he was an inspiration to yourself?
I wouldn't say like growing up he was like an inspiration to be a boxer because he never ever spoke about it or anything like that. And he was he was convinced of me like hitting a top bin on the toppy. Like, oh my God, he's going to play for Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? He was that type of dad. Do you know what I mean? He thought I was like Ronaldo because if you seen him kick a ball, nearly break his leg, fall over or something. I was just there, and he was never one of them. Even when I did get into boxing, he didn't like get on top of me in any way or say, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing that. He was just like, he'd just show up, come in the back, shake my hand, go do your best.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was just simple stuff. He never got involved with me training. He never come in and watched and started telling Marzi what he should and shouldn't be doing. So it was never really nothing like that. I never really had any inspiration to go into boxing. It was just like, for me at the time, it was like a way of mixing with my mates and we were all doing it. But then as the years got on and we all got older, they started putting their time into like whatever they were going to do. Like when they left school or in college, they were going into be joiners, bricklayers or all them sorts of things. And I still say it now, like I haven't got a 9 to 5 in me. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm just one of them people. I had to, and I just thought like, this is the only thing I'm half decent at the moment. I need to just give it me all. Do you know what I mean? And I always had the support of my dad. Like he was always there with me. I think like even as an England fighter, when I'd be fighting away, he'd fly over no matter where it was. Do you know what I mean? He'd support me everywhere. He loved it. Do you know what I mean? It was like his second lease of life, like a little buzz through me, through the boxing. Because if he walked into a boxing thing, everyone would be like, "Oh, is he your lad?" And that was like his little buzz then. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So that built a relationship even stronger between me and him as we got older. But I wouldn't say in any way he tried to inspire me to be a boxer, or he never put any load on me to be one either. Do you know what I mean? If I had woke up one day and said, that's not for me, he'd go, because he used to say to me, it's the hardest sport in the world.
Yeah.
So he was saying, like, I wouldn't begrudge anyone if they spewed it, do you know what I mean? But I've fucking stuck with it somehow.
Must have been in the blood.
Yeah, do you know what, like, just after he passed was when I really started, like, making a name for myself and winning belts and things like that. And I always used to just wish, like, I wish he'd have just been here for that bit, do you know what I mean? He'd have been buzzing.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, your dad was a big boxer and everyone knows him in Liverpool. You probably heard loads of stories about him. Yeah. Every gym you go in, you probably heard loads of stories. But I heard a great one the other day. And I don't know whether you know this one. But I was in my granddad's the other day. And my granddad actually said he was your dad's mate.
Yeah.
It's just through coincidental talking and stuff. And he said, we went to the Olympics, man. So did he, granddad? He said, and he was there with Prince Anne.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, oh, yeah, he went, they all got pissed together, He said she was great, dancing on the tables and everything.
Yeah, like I seen like at the Olympic ceremony, because I think Princess Anne was there for horse riding or something along them lines. And all the lads, like, obviously, you've all got to be in your rows and stuff like that on the ceremony, walking around. Someone went, Robbie, there's Princess Anne. He went, I grabbed my camera there, ran and jumped over the rail, went. And apparently, this is like the story here. He ran over to him and went, all right, girl, how's your ma? Get a photo with us there.
It's great, that, isn't it?
Well, when I like, obviously, as I got older and I got to know my dad more and more, I was like, that would not surprise me. He was so cheeky in his ways, do you know what I mean? I used to, as a kid, this the God's honest truth, he used to get on the bus with me and he'd go look at the driver and go, yeah, mate, do you want a polo? And he'd pay us on with polos. I'd be like, or like we'd get on the train and the fella would come round, for the tickets. And he'd go, yeah, mate, that's today's Echo, that. Have a read of that. And I'd just be sitting there like red as anything, thinking, oh my God, he just has no shame.
Yeah. So in 2013, you turned pro and you had your first fight in the Liverpool Olympia. What was that like?
Do you know what? I always remember that fight, like, because when I got there, they come into me and they were like, Rob, your opponent's weighed in 8-9 pounds heavy. And I was like, what? I've sold 100 tickets, and back then, like, when you first started, I felt like that was the Arthur Kirby coming to watch me. I was like, oh my God. And then next minute they went, there he is. And some little fat fella walked past the door. And I was like, give him it. Give him the £9. And I knew when that bell went. And that fella now, Carl Allen, he still speaks to me on Facebook.
Does he,
yeah, he was a lot older than me. He was at the back end of his career. Do you know what I mean? Like, he was probably an half decent featherweight when he was younger. And like, he was fighting me at light welter at the end of his career. That's why he was small and with a bit of a belly and that, do you know what I mean? And I just went out there like an absolute steam train, and he retired after the first. But even now, that same fella, Carl Allen, he always sends me a message and wishes me luck and things like that. Do you know what I mean? I was thinking it's always good to like keep well with people, do you know what I mean?
Course,
Do you remember how you felt going into the fight? Were you nervous, or were you more like excited just to get in there?
Do you know what? Even I say fighters are liars if they tell you they don't have nerves. Do you know what I mean? And I can't remember the exact nerves I had, but it was because it was your pro debut. I was probably shitting myself in the back. I can't remember. Do you know what I mean? People were probably like, "Are you ready, Rob?" I was like, "Yeah." Do you know what I mean? I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was definitely an exciting feeling. I've got like pictures of like after the, you know, like when they walk over to my corner and go, "That's it, he's retired," on a stool. And I jumped up like I'd just scored in the FA Cup final, like, yes! I was thinking, like, and you just like look back now and everyone's just like, well then, Rob. Just battered some little fat fella. Don't look at it like that at the time, though. When you get a bit older and you're fighting like proper opponents, you're like, fucking hell, the carry on I made over that debut, do you know what I mean? Things like that.
Brilliant. So I know from your first fight, you went on, didn't you? You had a pretty good run. Winning. I think it was your 12th fight or something like that. You fought for the WBA Continental Lightweight title. What was that like?
First time, like, see, like that's what I was saying before. Like, because I didn't have a big, massive amateur background full of medals and things like that, I had to literally come through the grapevine. So I had to do like sport tours, dinner shows, and things like that.
Yeah.
And then I ended up getting a continental fight on a dinner show, but obviously I'd sold the dinner show out. I was
that the Devonshire?
yeah,
I went to that.
yeah. I was doing a lot more tickets than someone at my level normally done. Do you know what I mean? I was building a big following quick because I was stopping a lot of people, especially in them like earlier fights when the level of opposition weren't that good. I wasn't like someone that just took them the distance. I'd rather just get them out of there to make it look better. Do you know what I mean? And then I think I've still got pictures from the night in the Devonshire. Do you know, like someone was in there like taking photos of like everyone that come to watch me, and then like in the ring and stuff like that. And I've got like a shoebox. Well, it's ended up about 4 shoeboxes now, but it was just of all like photos over the years and like little bits of like cut out paper and stuff like that. Because like even when my dad passed, like we didn't even know. We were going through all the stuff, and as we were pulling that, we pulled out a suitcase. We lifted a suitcase, and it was like literally every article out of a newspaper, everything to do with me. And I was like, fucking hell, he never ever mentioned none of this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then like I thought, well, I've probably missed half of this because I used to do it myself, but he had like everything because I didn't really buy the newspaper. I was a young lad. Do you know what I mean? So I like since then I've like just topped his up with mine, but I kept it all. Do you know what I mean? So I've got all kinds now. Do you know what I mean? Of over the years to look back on, because he used to always say like, honestly, he used to give away everything. Like he like all your robes and that from the Olympics and all that, he just give them away on fucking nights out or whatever. Do you know what I mean? People would come back to his house's party and he go, "Do you like that? Go ahead, have it." I was like, fucking hell.
You give your white boots away, yeah?
No, they're in a museum.
Green sick on them.
Do you know what? I actually got them off Craig Noon. Do you know Craig? He was, I think he was playing for Plymouth at the time, but he grew up with my beard. Like, they were like, their mums were best mates.
Yeah.
And he was like just getting into like footy teams, and I was like, oh, I need to get some footy boots, blah, blah, blah. And then he misses his mum, must have mentioned it to Craig, and he sent me a pair of like brand new white Total 90s. I always remember it, and I was just like that walking up for like, breathe. Someone was like, when Rob passed out, I was like, whoa, get me boots, Daisy, get off.
Still brand new now.
I didn't want to.
Don't get dirty on the bench, do they?
It's like, mud's on the laces, the wrecked. So I was like,
I remember you actually scored once and you didn't even know how to celebrate.
Yeah, I was just like, oh. Probably ran over to your Jake going, yes, you're staying on that bench.
So you won that night in the Devonshire, didn't you?
Yeah.
What was it like lifting that belt? A belt for the first time.
Do you know what? Like, got some like one of the best photos that I've got in my boxing is on that night. Like, I'm standing in the ring with my hands in the air, and my dad jumped in the ring with me, and he's the other side with the hand, and we're both unloading the belt together. Like, that's up in my living room, that photo. That's like that was a great night. Do you know what I mean? Like, out of some of the obviously I've had some great nights over the years, but when I look back, like, because obviously my dad missed a lot because he weren't here for the like new bigger nights, that was pretty special for that reason. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know that you went on and you defended that, didn't you, a few times?
Yeah, defended it a few times. Yeah.
And then you went into a fight that you were winning against what's his name, Michael Shiraway?
Michael Shirawaka, yeah.
Shirawaka, that's the one.
Yeah, he had muscles on top of muscles.
Yeah. And you got caught in the 12th round, didn't you? But you were winning the fight comfortably.
Do you know what it was?
What was that like?
That was like I've like since then, like, obviously the stories came out. Like, I'd done a bit of sparring before it. In my last spar, I got it with some like heavy body shot and give me the shits leading up to the fight in the last 2 weeks. But at this point, I'd never been on like a big Sky box office show or anything like that before. Like, in the build up, the night before our fight was McGregor Mayweather in Wembley. There was all kinds of massive build up to it, and I was like, and at this time I didn't have no contracts with anyone. I was like, if I let this opportunity pass me by, some other kid's going to take it. They're going to get someone else to fill my boots, and then if this other kid does good, I might not be in. And that isn't really how boxing works.
Yeah.
But at this time, this is me writing stories in my own mind. So I was doing anything to, like, so I've got the shits like 2 weeks leading up to the fight. And like, I just do all the R remedies, eating your rice, bananas, bread, to block it all up, to get myself feeling a bit better. So I'll stop going to the toilet. But then by the time it stops, you got to remember all that is just carbs, me weight. Because I never used to do the weight right back then. It was just like run or sweatsuits or whatever. And I'd literally put on quite a few kilo and I had to get it off like the night before. And as the fight went on with Cyril Walker, it ended up being a bit of a toe-to-toe, like on top of each other. I just ran out of steam, just didn't have it in me. My legs were like by the 8th round, I was like Bambi on ice, even without him hitting me. And then once he caught me, it was just like, it was near enough lights out. And somehow, I don't know, got myself to my feet, because I've even, over the years, I've looked back at that shot, and it's one of them where he's like dipped as far as his shoelace, and then whipped it back up, and it just clipped on the end of my chin, the very tip. And I went over, and it was just like, I got up, and before he could even get to me, me corner threw the towel in, which was probably the sensiblest thing to do, because I was like jelly, and if the referee would have let it go, I could have got hit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I was heartbroken at this point, and then I was just like, just do anything to get me that rematch, because I knew in me head, like, without saying to anyone else, I was just like, I got beat by the better man, blah, blah, blah. But me personally, I knew what had gone on in the background.
Yeah.
I was like, I beat that kid. He was good, he was solid and strong, but he weren't that good. He was just powerful, do you know what I mean? And then I got the rematch and I knocked him out. So
was it sort of building up to that, because I know you got the rematch straight away?
Yeah.
Was it a build up of like revenge sort of mission, or let's get myself right and go into it that way?
Well, because right after that fight, probably because the fight was good for TV, and like people knew it was me forcing the fight, I started getting other opportunities and offers for big fights then. But coming off a loss, I thought I don't want to go into another big fight with on the back of my mind getting stopped. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I just thought I'd be going in a mental state of I won't be in my best frame of mind. And then I just begged to get me the rematch, and then we got it. And then I ended up getting the knockout, and I was absolutely buzzing with that. And then from then, I ended up getting an opportunity to sign a contract with Matchroom then. And they said, your first fight will get you for the British title. Because we were already going to go for it anyway, because I was I was mandated for it. Yeah. So they knew I was going to go for it anyway. So they thought if we sign him, and they signed the other kids as well, either way, they've got the winner. And the other kid who they signed was the Commonwealth champion. So then in my head now, I'm thinking I only have to win one fight and I'm British and Commonwealth champion. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was right up for it then. And then they said, but it's going to be in his back garden. And at this point in my career, I just didn't care. I was just like, when opportunity knocks, I'm going to be there for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then from then, I've like progressed, and I've had a few speed bumps on the way, but...
That was like Glen 44?
Yeah. So, like, don't get me wrong, I always say, like, I was never going to be one of them fighters that had a perfect record and had a fairy tale, like, happy ending. I was always going to have ups and downs, I think, but because of my style of fighting. But I just always think, like, everything that's happened to me over the years and different things has moulded me to be where I am now. And the support I have is probably because I'm just as real and as down to earth as anyone off the street. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, going on from where you've just been talking about there, you won the Commonwealth, didn't you? And you won the British against Glenn Foot, another English fighter.
Yeah.
Well, talk us through like these moments, because these are massive in people's careers. You know what I mean? You're winning belt after belt. You're stopping people.
The worst thing about that fight was the press conference, because I knew Glenn from the amateurs.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't look twice at him. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you were fighting him, you'd be thinking, oh my God, I've drawn Glenn Foot in the ABAs. He was probably a hard type of character, do you know what I mean? Probably a hard man. And then when I was fighting him, I just seen him at the press conference, and straight away he was like, I always remember he said, all right, Robbie Davies, are you ready to run like a thief in the ring? I always remember that saying. I was laughing my head off. I was like, hey, listen, I'll do what I need to do to beat you. And he was like, no, you're going to run. That's what you're going to do. You're going to run. I was thinking of me as fucking right, man. He's fucking standing there, scary as anything. I was like, you're going to need a bleeding car to catch me. But,
did you stop him, Rob? Did you?
No, I got a bad cut in like the second round, and I literally just got on my bike for near enough the whole fight and just boxed and moved, because it was literally, the cut was that bad. If he'd hit it once, the fight would have been over. Do you know what I mean? It was like there was blood absolutely everywhere. I think the actual referee from that fight auctions his shirt because it was covered in blood that much. He auctioned it towards a charity, because it was absolutely rinsed with blood, I've got a picture where he's standing between us and his t-shirt's just bright red, and I seen something on Facebook that he auctioned it like months later, and I was thinking, that's decent, that, do you know what I mean? Someone like using it for a charity or something like that.
Do you know what he got for it? How much he got?
No, I didn't like look in too much detail. I just seen it because I know the referee. Can't think of his name off the top of my head, but I always crack a joke when I see him. Like, I've got you this shirt in the boot there, so like that. Yo, you better answer. You know what I mean?
It's a bit of a mad one. I'm gonna go a bit off track, but you know, like when they are covered in blood like that, they don't just referee one fight, do they?
That was the thing of it, like, because one of my mates from London ways. He's like sitting like somewhere close to the ring, like one of the ringside seats. And when one referee gets out and the next one's in, like obviously they just sit like in the chairs, and everyone's getting pictures with the ref because he's got like this shirt and he's sitting there like that thing, and he's saying like he's going back in a minute with blood all over his shirt, because like there was only like 1 or 2 fights after me left. Do you know what I mean? So I think like, but if it had been like one of the earlier fights, like you're saying, he'd probably have to go
and get a shower and change.
No, he probably wouldn't have. I don't think they bring like spare shirts for them. Not that I am aware of. But like someone might have said, listen, you're rinsed in blood, your night's done, you can go home. You might have been, do this every week.
So you're a Sky fighter then, and people recognise you, they know who you are. How'd you handle that?
It's good in ways. Like I remember, like straight after the fight with Glenn Foote, I went to London with my missus like a couple of days later, and you know what? I had a sweep in the main walk of London by all the shops. They're like cleaning the floors. He literally like knocked me in front of me and my missus and that, and went, "Hey, me watch you last night." It's like a foreigner, and I was like, "What? Mad that someone in London he couldn't notice me." Do you know what I mean? Like that, and just notice me eyeing that. And it was just little things like that. Like I was thinking, this like was where people will start noticing me now. Do you know what I mean? But then I always think back, like I never used to have like nerves that I had until I signed a contract with Matchroom. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I never used to have problems sleeping before fights or anything like that. And once I got the contract with Matchroom, I'm not messing. I remember going into the fight with Joe Hughes in Liverpool for the British and European. So say we were fighting on the Saturday. I never slept since Thursday going into that fight. Like I the God's honest truth, my eyes were like they were wired because I just couldn't switch off. And then I've always had one of these heart rate monitor watches, and my heart rate is like 30, 40 normally, because I just keep clicking in the middle of the night and looking at my heart rate like 100 and odd. I'd be like, I'm not even moving. Where's my heart rate? And then like next minute you'd look at the time and be thinking, it's 2 o'clock. I'm weighing in at 8. I need to get a few hours sleep. You'd be looking again. Oh, it's 4 o'clock. I might as well just go through it and try and sleep after it. You know, just stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was always the pressure I put on myself. Do you know what I mean? And like I've only just like, I think it's on. I still have problems with the sleep before fights now, and it's always because of like how much pressure I put on myself, because no one else puts any pressure on myself. I just always want better for myself, or I always expect more of myself. Do you know what I mean? And like sometimes that's what causes it, lack of sleep. But obviously one of the good things of being up in being around some good fighters up in Sheffield, like a lot of them had the same problem, and they told me like their ways of getting round and stuff like that. And it's always been like a heads up over this last year. Do you know what I mean? It's being a little bit better, but I wouldn't say like I'm 100%. I don't sleep like I sleep when I'm at home. Do you know what I mean? But still get a few hours in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
you won the European, didn't you? Against Hughes. So at that time, you were the British Commonwealth European title holder. Not many people do that. Not even in Liverpool. Not just in Britain. What's it like having all that belts?
Do you know, like, it's like because your goal is always to being a world champion, like, and I've never been someone to like brag of my achievements, and like I see some fighters, and listen, I'm all for it if you're honoured to be the champion you've had, and they've got like, you see like pictures of the living rooms and they've got the belts up next to the telly and all that. My belts, even to this day, have literally come home, didn't go around getting pictures or anything like that, and they've just gone into a cupboard. I don't have them out or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? I've got 2 pairs of shorts frames, one from when I won the British and Commonwealth, one from when I won the European. And they're just in the same cupboard, do you know what I mean? I don't actually have them out. I keep saying to myself, one day I'm going to do something where I put them all up.
Yeah.
But that day just doesn't seem to be coming, do you know what I mean? But when you look back, like I think in Liverpool over the years, I think there's only been like 6 or 7 ever to have British, Commonwealth and European. So I think it'll be something I look back at in years' time and I'll probably see like what a good achievement it was more back then. Like at the moment now, I'm just more like, I just want more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I haven't really settled yet. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes I think like I wish I'd have been out there a bit much when I was the actual champion with the belts. I wish I'd have like done a bit more with them, with picture wise, and went with gyms and stuff like that. But like when people used to ask me, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm not that type of person," you know. Like, I feel embarrassed doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like standing there and stuff like that. And they were like, "Yeah, I can always do it in my amateur club because I help out with them." Do you know what I mean? And the kids are just normal Kirby kids and stuff like that, and they're made up. Even like the other night, I was training in there with them just to get a little session in with the kids, and kids at the end of the session were waiting with the dads for a photo and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? I was
nice,
like, you know, this is still going on. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, I mean, I was thinking, I'm only here for a session, you know. Do you know what I mean? But it's still good, like, do you know what I mean?
No, it's brilliant that, because I think that's important for the kids to see someone in the gym like yourself who've won X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they're probably looking at you thinking, "Wow, he's won all these belts and he's in here with us."
Yeah, they're probably looking at him going, back, you know, they're probably looking thinking, "He's not that good. I can do what he's done."
A bit of inspiration for them, though, isn't it? You know what I mean? To like maybe go down that path themselves, not in the future.
Well, some of them like they was doing like some like thing. It's like a bag and a pad, but it's like so you like catch a shot, hit the bag, then uppercut the pad, and then hit the bag. And they were like a thing, and 2 kids came over and were doing it with me. Yeah. And I looked like the Tin Man, and they looked like Floyd Mayweather. I was like, "Yous have been practicing this. I'm not having this. Yous have only just done this now. They were about 14. They were like, no, he's just told us." And I was like, "Where'd you got this combo from?" They were like, "Canelo." And I was like, "Oh yeah, there's like all the kids love him, don't they?"
So I know you moved on. I think you had an altercation with Lewis Ritson, did you, at one of the shows? The famous line, "Your little milk come out," didn't it?
Oh, do you know what?
You got a bit of stick over that, didn't you?
Yeah, I still get it now. Like, people just buzz off me for it. Do you know what I think it honestly was? Because I don't use that word. It was, I was into Love Island at the time. I know.
Didn't you ask for a chat then, though?
And that was like the thing, the word they were throwing about, calling each other. And I was just like, it just all happened at once. And like, I think he done the clever thing. He just like walked back, just threw a grenade and walked off. Yeah. And I was like ready to go. I was ready to walk out to my fight. So adrenaline was already pumping, and I was just like, "You melt!" And I was like, and then after it, like, don't get me wrong, like I haven't got a personal bad thing to say about Lewis. Yeah. He seems an alright kid. Do you know what I mean? But at the time, the build up between the fights, it was just like it was great for everyone watching. Do you know what I mean? But
all the Love Island fans out there.
even when we got the press conference and they announced us, straight away someone in the crowd went, "You melt!" I was just like, "Oh, I'm never going to get away from this."
I remember watching it and I went, "Oh, he calls him a melt."
All the Geordies led me over it, do you know what I mean? But
you actually went to his back garden, didn't you? And fought him up there in Newcastle.
Yeah.
So,
do you know what I mean? Like, I walked in there, it was proper. It was a bad crowd to go up against. They were all screaming all kinds to me, and I was walking to the ring. And I always remember when I walked out, they were all applauding me.
Really, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I was like a Rocky film, that. Do you know what I mean? Like, they all hated me on the way in, and they all applauded me on the way out. Do you know what I mean?
To be honest with you, it was like a Rocky fight, though, wasn't it?
Do you know what I mean? So
it was back and forth and razor close.
I always remember, like, because I was so down after that fight, because I knew, like, no rematch was going to be coming in, like, me first loss. Do you know what I mean? And I always remember Eddie texting me saying, "Trust me, Rob, like, you might have lost that fight, but you're in a better place now than you was on Friday, or like the night before the fight." And I just took it on the chin a bit better then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that fight, as it was at the 12th round, when you basically both just stood in the middle of the ring, and just traded blows.
Yeah, it was just tit for tat, wasn't it?
I was
think
away.
that was probably, when you look over the fight, it was probably his best round as well, because he just like, I think he had that bit more in the tank than me.
Yeah.
Like where I'd throw 3 or 4, he'd throw 6 or 7. Do you know what I mean? It was just like non-stop.
I was away with my wife at the time, Rob, right? And I found a place to watch it.
Yeah.
And I literally stood in front of the telly and never moved, and she sat on her own for the whole fight. And I remember coming back, and I felt like I'd been in there with you, right? And I sat down, and she went, "Oh, you remember that was here?"
As they do.
Sorry, look. Sorry, you know what I mean? What can I say?
Yeah, I know.
Was it that knife? But, you know, obviously I texted you the next day and stuff like that. But I know that you moved on from that, didn't you?
Yeah.
You had another fight, you won it. And then you moved from your gym that you'd been in, the Tonk gym that you said, to the Ingle gym. How did that move come about?
The transition was coming because, like, with Tonks that they become like more than just coaches. They were like my best mates. Do you know what I mean? Like, even outside of boxing, like if I had something to tell someone, Tonksy was who I would go to. And I think it became like vice versa as well. We had like all each other's secrets, absolutely everything. Do you know what I mean? And then at one point, like, I just knew that, like, because I basically trained on my own in that gym. I just knew at some point, if I was ever going to leave, it needed to be now. And I needed to separate my personal life with my career.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest part. But it was like, what's the saying? Like, you never see the ocean if you don't leave the shore. Do you know what I mean? So if I'd never done it, I never knew. Do you know what I mean? And I might have only been where I am now, but I might have never gained the experience I have by leaving. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that was probably one of the hardest parts of my career. Do you know what I mean? Because I was very, very close to them. Do you know what I mean? I used to always make jokes with his son, like when I go in his house. So you see that picture of you on the wall? That's going to get changed to me. Do you know what I mean? Like a school picture. So you're going to have a picture of me there soon. Stuff like that. And so at the time I needed and just needed to find a new gym and things like that. And I pretty much had all the obvious names in my gym of like the big names. So I was like, because they're proven making champions and stuff like that. Yeah. And my manager at the time had like a bit of a relationship with Dominic Ingle. Everyone else had only spoken to on the phone, really. I didn't actually get a chance to go and see any other gyms. Do you know what I mean? But I was saying at the time, I'll spend a couple of days in all of them and stuff like that. But then when I actually went up to the Ingle gym and tried to gel my way in, and then I met a couple of the lads. I already knew a few of them. Like I knew Kid Gallard, I knew Liam Williams. Never knew them as close as I ended up knowing them, but I knew them well enough to like stop and talk to them. Do you know what I mean? And then I ended up just like falling into routine straight away. Do you know what I mean? At this time, I was still like living out of apartments and stuff like that, like renting hotel rooms like for near enough a whole week. Do you know what I mean? I was just blowing money for fun just till I find what was best for me. And then before I knew it, it was just like I'd always been there. Do you know what I mean? And then I got an house round the back with Liam Williams, and they just all became like my mates. And I was part like, it's like going to the gym with the lads then. Do you know what I mean? And that was something I'd never had at Tonksy's, the gym before that. I was like more or less isolated on my own. You know what I mean? Trained on my own, which at one point I used to love that because it was just like, you never had to worry about getting pads or anything like that because you didn't have to share the coach's time with another fighter. Yeah. And then like as time went on and with the Ingles and things like that, I started to love it a bit. Do you know what I mean? I just like, I love getting up there and things like that. And then as time's gone on, obviously I've led to where I am now. Things are changing again.
So what would you say the main difference was? Would you say that was the main difference from going from a sort of a secluded gym where you train on your own to like a packed gym where it's full of other boxers aspiring to be world champions as well? Would you say that was the main
that was like my main reason for wanting to go. Like I didn't want to just leave my gym and go to another gym where even if it was a good coach where I was just training with him on my own, I wanted to be in a gym where I could like bounce off other champions and on them days where you're feeling tired and you can't be bothered and you see someone else like they'll drag you through it, do you know what I mean? I started to need that, do you know what I mean? And I started to like need to get a bit happier in the gym. And then as time went on, and I was loving it in the gym at the time, my missus obviously got pregnant and we had a kid. And then being up there, being away, it started to feel like it was a chore a bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I know some fighters, I see it all the time, like the sacrifice has got to be made. Like, I seen an article the other day that Dillian White hadn't seen his new baby for the first 4 weeks while he was in training camp. And I was thinking, listen, that's something else. That's what you call dedication. But I was thinking, I haven't got that in me. Like, I don't want to miss them years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I just feel like I'll never get them back. And if I miss all of my baby's youth, I'll always regret it. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So then I started like, I'd be like driving up to the gym at like 6 a.m. and then driving home in the middle of the night. Yeah. I was driving back and forth. I was driving 100 miles there and 100 miles back. But some days, like, I would be sparring. Like, one day, I remember I drove up there at like 6, 7 in the morning. I was sparring at 9. And I was absolutely shite. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was actually sparring a kid who had stopped in the amateurs. And he jabbed my head off. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I was thinking, I was crap there. And they were, and so then I just constantly making altercations that I could fit being at home and training and things like that. And it become a nightmare. But then me and Dominic at the time found like a routine what worked for me. Do you know what I mean? And he always knew I trained hard. He knew I wouldn't be someone that would go home and start slacking off and eating pizzas and stuff like that. If anything, he had to tell me to stop and do nothing. He had to tell me to rest. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm constantly on it. But I'd say the biggest difference between the two gyms was with Dominic. It's very it was like the barracks a bit. Do you know what I mean? It was like training at 6 a.m, go home, rest, eat. Back in the gym, go home, rest, sleep, wake up, back in the gym, start again. Do you know what I mean? And it'd be all planned out for you. But he wouldn't even you mightn't get told your session till the night before because he wouldn't want you to be doing anything you shouldn't be. He just wants you lying there resting, do you know what I mean? Which kept you on your toes a lot, like, do you know what I mean? Like, you'd be thinking, what am I doing tomorrow? I'm a running, I'm a pads, I'm a sparring. You just didn't know. And then like 5 in the morning, your alarm would go off. Don't message you say, come round the gym. You're doing what, X, Y, or Z. Do you know what I mean? And that's just the way it became. And just as time's gone on,
it's a bit of a crazy way to train, that though, isn't it?
You know, it works for some people. That's the only way I can say it. Like, and the Ingle gym, like, they produced a lot of world champions over the years, so it works. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I just think like, as many people know, like, now I've actually left Sheffield now, and for whatever reason, I just feel like it hasn't worked for me as well. Like, going off my performances and things like that. Like, I feel like I've been a better fighter in the gym than I have been on the night.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And there's just been.
When I watched your last fight, it wasn't like watching you, if you know what I mean. It wasn't like watching. It was like watching every other fighter in that gym.
Yeah.
So they sort of like.
Yeah, it was like him. I tried to like not specifically change my style, but sometimes in fights you've just got to listen to your corner, and you've just got to go with what they're telling you to do. Do you know what I mean? Even if people on the outside are saying like, "You're the fighter, you should just make your own mind up if you need to be." And I was like, "But what you do, just start not listening to your corner, and every time you go back your corner, you're still having a disagreement of what should be, what I should be doing and what he thinks I should be doing." I was like, see, like, I always felt like to be a good fighter, you've got to be able to listen as well. So I just went with what he thought was best at the time.
You basically put your trust in him, haven't you?
Yeah, like that's what you've got to do with your training. If you go and train with someone and you haven't got your trust in them, then like, I don't think it's going to work for you anyway.
Yeah. Well, coming out of it, you've had that experience now, haven't you?
Yeah, that's it.
So that's an experience that you probably wouldn't have had if you hadn't moved. It probably made you a better person, a better fighter. But you've also just lost your manager as well. What happened there? What's
What that was a massive shock to me, massive shock. Like Neil just messaged me out the blue and said, "Do you want to go for a walk?" And every now and again we do go for a walk, just to catch up on everything and things like that. So I just went to meet him, and he was just like getting all the brief stuff off quickly. He was like, oh yeah, gutted for Liam and Dom. Great fight, he showed heart, blah blah blah. Then he said like spoke to Matchroom. He said they're gonna get another fight in the summer. I was like, oh yeah, sound. Just need to sort my gym and all that, don't I? And he was like, yeah, you need to get on that. But just letting you know, Rob, you know, I haven't been too well, and I've got to loosen my load a bit. So I'm gonna release you. And I was just like, what? And he was like, yeah, I know this will be a bit of a shock to you, but I've just taken on too much at the moment, and I need to loosen things off a bit just so I'm in a better state of mind, so I'm a lot healthier. And I was like, oh, and he said, he basically said that like to manage me takes up a lot of energy. I was like, oh, and he was like, compared to the other fighters, Zach and David, like their coaches take the brunt for me. Like they manage them a lot of the time. With you, I've got to be one-on-one with you all the time, and I've got to fight your battles with whoever for you all the time, and it's becoming draining sort of thing, really. And when someone says that to you, like when I'm down at the moment, it was a bit like a kick in the teeth. And he was going on for a bit, and he said to me, "Come on, Rob, like give me something, like tell me what you're thinking." I was like, "What can I say, Neil? You're saying managing me is affecting your health.
Yeah.
So you've got to let me go." So not really more I can say. Your health's the most important thing, isn't he? I said, like, because he's been good to me over the years, do you know what I mean? I said to him, listen, you've been good to me over the years, I'm not going to start calling you to anyone, but I was saying, you got to look at the obvious, Neil, like, David and Zach are winning, have it a speed bump. And he was like, no, it's nothing to do with that. And listen, if he said it's nothing to do with that, it's nothing to do with that, but when the writing's on the wall and I'm in a bad patch, do you know what I mean? And I feel like I've been... He said he'd help me look for a coach, or if he needs me to whisper into someone about management, he'd help me. But I thought, you know what, this is like a kick in the teeth for me now. I've just split with my coach, like, and you've helped me do it. Yeah. And then before I've even sorted that, you've told me you're splitting with me because I'm basically draining you. And I know myself personally, like, he's never had a missed call in his life off me because I don't ring anyone. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you ring me, I've probably got my phone in my hand and I'll leave it and then text you and say, sorry, missed that. Do you know what I mean? What's up? Yeah. I'm just one of them people that I'd rather text, do you know what I mean? I'm just not comfortable on the phone, or I'd say, all right, I'll come and meet you. I'll see you face to face. And so I was thinking, like, I was probably on him a bit more of recent because I was leaving Dom. Yeah. And I wanted to be sorted as soon as possible, and I was getting anxious on everything, really. Do you know what I mean? So I was probably on him a little bit more than usual, and he was saying his health weren't at his best, and being 24/7 on me on him or something was affecting that. So
let's be honest, it's a selfish sport, mate, and at the end of the day, you need to lean on people at that time, so you probably weren't doing nothing wrong.
Yeah, it's
just looking after yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, it is a selfish sport, but, and do you know what, if that's the way people look at it, like he's looking after himself, then fair enough. But I know over the years, side agreements, contracts, opportunities with coaches and managers that come as a pair, things I've knocked back over the years, and I've said, and I know there'll be people that might listen to this and they'll think, like, I'm one of them people he's knocked back, because I've said to him, listen, Neil Marsh's been good to me over the years. I'm not shitting on him now. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And he has been good to me, do you know what I mean? So I just know I had to my very last breath, I wouldn't have got rid of him until the end of my career if he'd have stuck by me.
Yeah. I think that says a lot about your character and the type of person you are, and you know, your types of loyalty, you know, you see things and that. So I think that's respect to yourself, really, Robbie.
Yeah, it's just one of them. Even talking about it now, I still feel like a bit gutted. Do you know what I mean? Because in boxing over the years, like Neil's probably seen, like it's probably like I've had loads of mental issues over the years as well, and Neil's like been there to help me with the brunt of that as well.
Yeah.
And it's probably sometimes become a bit too much for him, because where some fighters have got other people to turn to and things like that, I haven't really ever had anyone else.
Yeah.
So I'm either bottling it all in, speaking to a psychiatrist, or telling Neil.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So over the time, like
that's his job though, Rob. That's his job. If he's managing you, you're gonna have to fall on him sometimes. At the good times and at the bad times.
Yeah, I just feel like
so
he must have felt like I was just falling on him a bit too much, and he just decided I was affecting his health and whatever. I don't want to go into it. That's his own personal reasons, but if it was affecting his health, managing me, then what more can you say? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just coincidentally that it happens when I'm hitting a bad patch and there's other fighters are winning, and he never got rid of them. But I'm not calling him in any way. Like I said plenty of times, and I'll say it to anyone, over the years he's been good to me. It's just like kicking someone when they're down at the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm a great believer of everything happens for a reason, and it might be a blessing in disguise for you going forward, Robbie. You know, another opportunity where a new manager and new coach will become available. You know, who knows what the future holds for you.
Yeah, a lot of times, a lot of coaches in the past that I've wanted to train with, you can't train with them because they manage it as well and things like that. So, do you know what? Right now, like I put a post out on social media yesterday, and I've had a few feathers sent to me already. So I think more because of the type of person I am, not because of the fighter I am. I think a lot of people will try and help me anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just at the moment though, I'm just like, because it's all new, I'm just like trying to digest everything in a moment, just sit back and just let a few days of it all just unfold itself, and then obviously I'll get a move on and try and sort something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I know there's not going to be any shortage of people who want you to go to their gym. There's going to be plenty of managers out there who are going to want to take you on because you're a potential world champion. Who wouldn't want to do that with you? You know what I mean? So keep your spirits up. From me to you, keep your spirits up.
Yeah, I know.
And things will work out for you.
I know more of the times, like if I start like rambling on the way I do sometimes, people like start feeling sorry for me, like start feeling like I'm down. And don't get me wrong, I'm down because of the sport and but in my actual personal life and things like that, I'm an upbeat person. Do you know what I mean?
I know.
Just like over these last few days, I just feel like I've just been dragged through the muck a bit. Do you know what I mean? I just need to get this weekend out of the way and then pick myself up and just be like, right, let's crack on. Do you know what I mean? Let's make some moves.
Brilliant.
So everything you've learnt in your career, everything you've been through so far, what advice would you give to any young boxer who wants to come into the sport, who's trying to progress on?
Do you know what? This will sound crude, but like this has been playing over my head for like the last 48 hours. Like, but even when you're winning or when you're losing, and now the way I feel now, I'd tell someone, make sure you always do what's best for you.
Yeah.
I'd say like don't fall in bed with anyone. Do you know what I mean? Because the people who you think are there for you mightn't always be there for you. Because when you're winning, I done like on my questionnaire last night. Like just over a year ago, I was like, I think Boxrec had me top 10 in the world. Every governing body had me in top 10 or top 15 in the world. I had more people around me than I needed. I had sponsors on shiny swapsies. I had that many of them. I had that many coming to me. Do you know what I mean? And like now when you're in a bit of a rut, you see who's really there for you. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
It's interesting that you say that, because a number of boxers and fighters who we've spoke to, they say when they're winning, everyone's around them. You know, exactly what you've just said. And once you're down a little bit, they all kind of disappear a bit. You know, and you see who the real people are.
When people tell you that over the years, you're just like, I've heard that for years. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Listen, it's not happening to me. Do you know what I mean? I'm doing all right, even when, because remember, I've lost before and I've come back. Yeah. People have still been there for me. Just that now, this time, it's felt the other way, and I've only actually really now seen it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not calling anyone that's been a part of my career, because everyone at some point has helped me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm not that type of person to walk away and kick my feet and stamp my feet and say, oh, we done this or he said that, blah, blah, blah. Because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have shaped to where I am and the person I am now.
Yeah.
So I know that you're still obviously a boxer and stuff like that now, but would you have any plans to maybe open your own gym in the future? Would you be a coach yourself?
Do you know what, like, that is one of the things, like, I've thought about, like, opening my own gym and things like that. But even, like, yourself, like, in Kirby, I feel like there's a gym on every corner now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So,
but is there a Robbie Davies gym on every corner?
That's what I was going to say. Like, so I'd have to, like, I'd have to come away from boxing and put my time into that, because I'd have to come up and think for a reason why people would want to come and spend time with my gym, my training sessions, rather than every other gym. So it's something I have thought about in the past, but I'd have to put time into it where I could make sure there was something different from me to all the others. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You've got the experience, haven't you? You've been through it.
Yeah.
There's not many people who've done that.
Yeah, they've all been through the mill.
You come out the other side. So, going a bit off course a minute, what do you think about Jake Paul?
Do you know what? Like, when I watched Logan Paul, like, I thought he was rubbish when he fought the other YouTuber. But Jake Paul, he's like a novice boxer. He's not completely awful. He's all right. Do you know what I mean? So I was thinking to myself, if he fights, like, if he carries on fighting like people like he's fighting, like other YouTubers or like, a wrestler, I'd say a cage fighter, but he's a wrestler. He was predominantly a wrestler, wasn't he? Yeah. Everything he done, don't think we ever seen him throw a punch or a kick. He'd just get next to you and take you down. Do you know what I mean? So he's picking his fights correctly, in my opinion. Like, his next one will probably be a basketballer. Do you know what I mean? Because he's good enough to just iron them type of people out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the only time someone like Jake Paul will lose is if he fights a proper boxer who's of a decent standard. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, he's bringing a new audience to the game. That's what you've got to look at it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't know how true it was, but I've seen his post saying 75 million pay-per-view buys. That's ridiculous, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? He's just became one of the most viewed boxers of our time in like 3 fights.
And he's not even a proper boxer.
Yeah, see, so
I think it's opened up the door to like other boxers as well, putting them out there as well, because I know the undercard had a couple of fights on, didn't it? And apparently when we were chatting about it, we were looking into it, the fight before his fight, minus all the pay-per-view money, they actually got, for the fight itself, more money than what Logan Paul actually got. Like,
Vegas Progress, he got apparently got $850, I heard, and I think the one who fought Jake Paul, I think he only got 500.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, Vegas Progress is probably one of the top champions in the division, so he should be getting that, do you know what I mean? But I think it was more like they were having real fighters on the undercard. Yeah. So they were thinking, like, it's not just a big show. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But then, like, things like Snoop Dogg doing the, was it the commentary? And he's just
was it? Yeah.
He's just like, he's going to fuck him up. I was just like, what is going on here? Yeah. I was like, you wouldn't get that on Sky Sports or BT. Do you know what I mean?
More entertaining.
Yeah. What weight's he actually fighting at, you know?
I think it's around light heavyweight. Do you know what I mean? I don't think he'd be a light heavyweight as a proper professional boxer, because they're massive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think, like, he's got a little bit of extra weight on him. I think he just fights where he's comfortable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because even the other fella who he fought, he just come in fat, didn't he? Just
he didn't even train.
No. And he made up an excuse after the interview, like he had an injury in the build up to it. It's like,
didn't he only have about 4 or 5 weeks to train anyway?
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But he probably just seen the money.
To be fair to him, he come in his last 2 UFC fights like that as well. He didn't even train, he just come in overweight. Yeah,
because he was never the biggest for the weight anyway, and he's just a wrestler, so he didn't really need to use like grapple moves and things like that. So I was never really a fan of him anyway. I think was it Masvidal? Yeah. Like, I was more of a fan of him in that going into the fight before I even knew what was going to happen. I think everyone wanted Masvidal to win because of the way they carried on.
Definitely, yeah. So you've just become a dad. You've got a gorgeous little girl. How's that treating you? How are you getting on with that?
Don't want it's for the first few weeks, obviously it's trial and error. Do you know what I mean? And but I've become like I've become a baby boy. Do you know what I mean? I honest to God, I used to remember looking at even other fighters, and I'd be thinking, oh, they post these pictures of the kids. Do you know what I mean? I was like, to put a picture up in a bag of something. Do you know what I mean? Now it comes to me. I've had to make a separate account on my Instagram because I've had to make a private one, and I'm not messing from start to finish. It's just our baby growing up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She only has to roll over. I'm like, get a video. Last night, only 2 nights ago, she started clapping for the first time. I was like, video time. Do you know what I mean? I've just become like, it's like, even though I'd say I didn't have a kid till I was 30, but I've been with my missus for since we were babies. Do you know what I mean? Since we were in school. And at a certain age, I've always thought I wanted kids and that. Do you know what I mean? So when I finally had one, and the funniest part is now, well, I never expected, every person that sees our baby goes to me bird goes, it's the double of Robbie, isn't she? And I'm like, secretly buzzing. I'm like, no, she looks like a mum. Do you know what I mean? Buzzing, honestly, it's the best feeling ever. Do you know what I mean?
Have you been coping with the night feeds?
Do you know what? Because obviously all the very, very early time, I was still Sheffield and things like that. Never me bird knew I had to drive to Sheffield in the morning. She'd say stay in the spare room because obviously some nights you'd think you'd have cracked it, and then the next night the baby'd just be up all night. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. This very moment now where we are now, the baby's teething, so it's hit and miss. One night we might be sound with her. But funny enough, right? Her teeth are killing her, and she gets in the big bed, and her teeth stop hurting. Honest to God, it's this can't happen every night. It's comfort, doesn't it? And then we put her in the middle, so she just sleep straight ways like us. Yeah. And I fall asleep, and her head's under my armpits. I'm like, how have you got there? Just great, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It's a great feeling, honestly. I love it.
So, what does the future hold for Robbie Davies then?
Do you know what? Just need to, like I was saying before, just need to evaluate everything over this next couple of days. Sit back, and I'm going to get a move on. I'm going to find some new management, get a new coach, and when I get settled, I'll speak to Eddie myself, and then I'll just get a move on, get myself back in title contention, and push on from there.
Brilliant. I know there's going to be loads of takers. It's just where about you're going to go and stuff like that. So,
well, I've thought of all the ifs and buts. Do I really want to move away again? Where I've got to do all the travelling and not see the baby, or am I a fighter that I'm better just training hard, closer to home, where I can go home every night? Do you know what I mean? But I know, if it's a good trainer, the sacrifices have got to be made. I know my missus will make the sacrifice with me, and she'll understand. Do you know what I mean? That I've got to do this to prolong and better myself, and overall better for us. Do you know what I mean? So right now it's just evaluating over the next few days, and then I'm sure in the next week or two I'll have plans, or I'll be making small moves anyway.
Yeah, or whatever you decide to do, or whatever you decide to start training. I wish you the best of luck anyway, Robbie.
Appreciate
sure, it'll definitely work out for you, mate. 100%.
Thanks for having me on.
So at this stage of the show, Rob, we have a quick fire question round.
Oh, here we go.
Get yourself comfy.
Get yourself comfy, mate. And answer as open and honestly as possible.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start off with a nice one. I know you love your films and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You used to sit with your mum and that, didn't you? And watch all your films. I know you're close to your mum, so. What's your favourite film? Nice easy one to start.
It's not easy. That's one of the worst. Couldn't give you one specific film, but I'll tell you one of my favourites. Do you know, where you're have you ever seen it where in your mates you Like I'll have a playlist for all the lads to listen to.
Yeah.
And I'll have my own secret personal one.
Oh, we were going to come up with
Yeah, well, this is what I'm like with films. Like, so because people are listening, I'll say a Bronx Tale. It's a good film.
What's the other ones then?
But if the lads aren't listening, then what is it?
Sort of like Back to the Future or something like that.
Back to the Future, not that bad.
Do you know what I mean? I've got loads in
I
there.
remember you tried to get me to come down and watch Dirty Dancing.
Hey, that's a good film. Classic Swayze.
Yeah.
Your favourite TV series?
One of the best ones I've watched is either Entourage, when that's out, I loved that, or a bit more recent was a scary one called Bates Motel.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bates Motel's unbelievable,
Isn't
isn't it?
it?
So good, isn't it?
Unbelievable.
I still haven't seen it.
Oh, it grips you straight away.
does it?
Brilliant, yeah.
Oh,
Anyone listening,
'cause
therefore watch
It's
it.
like, it's the prequel to American Psycho. The kid in it grows up to be American Psycho. That's
what
the
it is,
story
yeah?
behind it, yeah. And then when you watch American Psycho, I think he was nuts as a kid. No wonder he ended up like that.
Yeah,
do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
I ended up watching the
Seeing
film
that, like,
because I'd forgot it because I'd seen it years ago. So once I'd watched that full series, and I'm not messing, I binge watched it.
Same, you
I
know. You just
I
can't turn it off,
couldn't
can
turn
you?
off. I was like, oh my God.
You're like 12 o'clock and you go, no, I'll do one more.
Right.
And then 3 o'clock in the morning, you're
Like
like,
that.
I'm in
Just go
work
in the
tomorrow,
gym.
I'm going to have to go.
Yeah.
So, your favourite holiday destination?
See, this is another one, me again. It's got to be Disney, Florida.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Like, I've been a Disney kid since I was 5 years old, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
definitely my favourite holiday.
Brilliant. Right, here's one. Your musical guilty pleasure. What do you listen to when none of your mates are around, your wife's not around?
That playlist, what's the top of that
Yeah.
playlist you mentioned
Oh,
before?
What's your favourite dance to in the shower?
Do you know what I've got so many in my locker. Like, just stupid. Like, I can't put, do you know, like, because I have Spotify, I never play liked songs because that's just all of them mixed.
Yeah,
But I'd say, like, what I do listen to when I'm on my own, which isn't too bad, but like some people like it, some people do. I listen to a lot of country music,
Yeah.
like Chris Stapleton and things like that. Like, a lot of people would be like, country music. But again, when I was away in Florida, one of their like radio stations in the cars is like country, and I started to listen to them like all the time, like when we were just driving places. The next thing, half of my Spotify was took up with them. Do you know what I mean? Just honestly, it's a guilty pleasure.
So we had a cowboy next time you come out.
Yeah,
To the
I thought of it. Come out to like one of their songs.
Yeah,
Come out on a Toyota.
yeah. You done grease.
Here we go. Hardest trainer in the gym. You looking at him?
I'm not in the gym, am I? You missed it. So, are you going to go with that
Go
one?
on then. Hardest trainer you've trained with then?
I'll be honest, like
Over the years.
like but there is it comes at, what's the word I'm looking for? It comes at a cost to train the way and dedicate him the way he does, but it'd have to be Barry Galahad. Like, it's like it's over the top how hard he trains. Do you know what I mean? And it's minimal. Is like, I think my like social life and things like that is minimal. Like, his is even more because he dedicated to his craft that much. Like, I've got to be honest. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Worst trainer.
Do you know what? Like, I'd hate to call someone. I'm trying to think of who I can think of.
This is always the sticking
It is,
question.
Listen, if I can think of someone else to say it, I'm not asked.
You can go with football if you want to call Kev Pollard out.
Yeah, useless him. He used to carry him, didn't I?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Got his captain bands because of me. I'll have to skip that one, honestly. Like,
go on,
it's a bit of a crap one.
All right then. You can't skip this next one then. Who's the worst dressed you've ever seen in the gym?
Oof. I've been asked this one before off like Sky on interviews and stuff like that. I can't remember who I said now. I think what I said on that time, on that answer, like the night before, one of the lads in the gym, Willie, he'd come in with like socks and flip-flops and stuff like, oh no, socks and Crocs. And I was like, socks and Crocs? And he was like, yeah, why? And he'd have like an house coat on, a woolly hat, and his boxing gear underneath. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Boss lad, like, do you know what I mean? Proper boss, like, didn't care.
Just Crocs for me was a killer.
Yeah, and he'd have like a coffee in his hand and it'd be like, "There's the train." He'd look at himself and go, "Yeah." Oh, sad. Like, so I'll probably go with Willie.
If someone was to play it in a movie, who would it be?
I haven't thought of this one before.
And why?
Yeah, no, why, yeah.
But I'd probably go with Leonardo DiCaprio.
I knew you were going to say that.
See, because I'm like him. You're thinking, yeah, he's just like DiCaprio. You can just picture me on the Titanic carrying with my arms out. I'm ready, I'm flying Jack.
That's the picture when you walk into yours, isn't it?
Yeah,
you just to the side.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'd probably go with Leonardo DiCaprio. Just because...
He's
more,
good, isn't he?
yeah, more because I'm a fan of his movies as well. Like The Wolf of Wall Street always gets me. Yeah. So I'll probably go with him.
And over to me then, Robbie. Liverpool or Everton?
Liverpool.
Messi or Ronaldo?
I'm Ronaldo, me.
Yeah, I'm Ronaldo, to be fair.
I always prefer that type of player, like big, strong, powerful, jump 8 feet in the air. I've always preferred Ronaldo.
Fury or Joshua?
Like this one goes back and forth quite a bit. Do you know what I mean? Like I can see one of them saying him one time, like, oh my god, he's gonna win. Like it was only like literally I probably got this the last time I done an interview, I probably said Fury, but since I was watching Joshua on Jonathan Ross the other day, made me like him again. It made me think like, boss interview that, talking like he was throwing all the girls' names in and all women's boxing. I was like, so I've gone that way again now. Do you know what I mean?
Night in or night out?
Defo night in. I'm proper mizzo.
Sport and idol growing up?
Sport and idol growing up was probably either Robbie Fowler or Steven Gerrard.
If you wasn't a boxer, what would you be and why?
Don't think I can say that on here. But the answer would be because I'm lazy and I like quick money. But I don't know. I'd probably
Island.
I'd have probably done me to that time, and I'd have probably been in some sort of sport. Do you know what I mean? I'd have probably tried to get myself into some sort of, not even if just boxing, some sort of coaching with kids or anything. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, if you're on a night out and you have to do one, karaoke or have a dance off, what would you choose?
Dance off. Definitely.
Yeah, go ahead, then, Josh.
Do the robot. Don't get me wrong, over the years, I've had, like, when I used to go out, I've had a few dance-offs.
You were our Carl?
Probably, your Carl's been there, I'm not messing. Ask him what Pan Am used to be like, we used to rock it.
So I've got one for you as well, I was supposed to ask you, but I forgot.
No what, sorry to interrupt.
Go on.
That's just reminded me. One time with your Carl, right, we were going on a night out, and this is when I was spending a lot of time with your Carl. And he goes like, yeah, I'm going to get a shirt. And I said, yeah, I'm going with my bear's head sound. He said, I've just got this belted shirt from Zara. I said, yeah, so have I. Got it from him. And then you went, mine's like a bluey colour. And I went, yeah, mine's like a purpley colour. We showed up in the same shirts. Like, you said yours is blue. Did you say yours? It was like, it is. I was like, it's not. It was one of them shirts that looked like two colours. And we were out all night in the same gear. It was like, every picture we just looked like twit and twat. You know, like, because we were always with each other at the time. It looked like we'd went out and bought the same shirt. Always remember. Ask him about it, he'll tell you.
Would be great walking in Pan Am and seeing you two having a dance off test.
That's what it was like. It was like, you stand that round that side of the table, I'll stand over here.
So, Katie Taylor, Natasha Jonas, who are you picking?
I'm going with Tasha, like,
yeah.
I don't even have to think about it. Like, no matter where we are in the world, like, I always go like, if it's a Brit fighting someone else, I always go with the Brit, even if it's someone I hate and I argue with, I'll always go with the Brit. And then when it comes down to like Liverpool fighting like another region, I don't care who you are. I'm always supporting Liverpool. Do you know what I mean?
Same,
so that's just the way I am. I'm just embedded in me. And I just think like sometimes Tasha's been given like shorter time to get ready and things like that. And with this one where she's got like a big build up and big opportunity and things like that, I think she's just going to rise to the occasion. And she's already, I think Katie Taylor might be getting a bit complacent at the top of the table, and I know Tasha will be hungry, especially off the last one where she got a draw and everyone thought she won.
Yeah, she definitely won.
She definitely won that fight.
See, so this is just another massive opportunity for her, and I think she could take it and shock everyone.
Yeah. I actually think she's going to win. I've been watching her training and stuff like that.
Yeah, see, like I see a lot of clips and things like that, and these are like the times which she hasn't had before because she hasn't had a big build up and a lot of time to get ready and stuff like that. And obviously they know each other from the amateurs, and I just thought it's different when someone's sitting at the top of the pinnacle and when someone's trying to get there. Do you know what I mean? She's already had her. Katie's already had her touch at the top where I know Tasha will be wanting it. So I think it's a big opportunity for her. I think she'll do it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I hope she does.
Brilliant, Rob. Been an absolute pleasure having you on. You've gone through the motions today there, but you know what? I've enjoyed every single minute of it.
I said to you, didn't I waffle on?
It's all right, that's what we want.
But thanks a lot for coming on that really enjoyable podcast with you, Robbie, and we wish you the best of luck in the future, whatever you do.
Right, Sean, I appreciate it. Hopefully next week or two I'll be throwing a few seeds of what's coming next.
Brilliant,
thanks again.
Thanks again.